Eldoria, a name whispered on the wind, carried on the wings of songbirds. A place of ancient trees and hidden glades where sunlight dripped through leaves like golden honey. It was a realm untouched by the shadows of the outside world, a sanctuary of peace and magic. At the heart of Eldoria lay a clearing, bathed in the soft glow of eternal twilight. Here the elves had built their homes, their structures blending seamlessly with the natural world. Their houses were crafted from living wood, their roofs adorned with vibrant blossoms and cascading vines. The elves were a people of grace and beauty, their movements fluid and elegant. They lived in harmony with the forest, respecting its power and cherishing its gifts. Their days were filled with music and laughter, their nights with storytelling and stargazing. They were the heart of Eldoria, and Eldoria was their heart. Magic was not a separate entity in Eldoria. It was woven into the very fabric of existence. It flowed through the trees, whispered in the wind, and danced in the moonlight. The elves possessed a deep understanding of this magic. They could communicate with the animals, heal the sick, and manipulate the elements. Their magic was not flashy or ostentatious, but subtle and profound. It was the rustle of leaves that carried a secret message, the shimmer of sunlight that revealed a hidden path. This magic, this subtle power, was the essence of Eldoria. Arryn awoke with the dawn, the first rays of sunlight filtering through the leaves and painting patterns on his face. He stretched, his elven limbs long and graceful, and took a deep breath of the crisp morning air. He lived in a small dwelling nestled high amongst the branches of an ancient oak, a home he had crafted himself from living wood. He rose and moved to the balcony overlooking the forest canopy. From his vantage point, he could see the entire village spread out below him, the elven homes blending seamlessly with the trees. He closed his eyes and listened, attuning himself to the symphony of the forest. He felt a deep connection to this place, a sense of belonging that ran deeper than blood. This morning, however, a new sound reached his ears, a faint discordance in the forest's harmony.
Oriel danced in the forest clearing, her movements as fluid and graceful as the flowing stream. Her golden hair shimmered in the sunlight, her laughter echoing through the trees. She was a vision of ethereal beauty, a living embodiment of the forest's magic. She twirled and leaped, her bare feet barely touching the ground. She paused for a moment, her breath coming in soft gasps. She closed her eyes and tilted her head back, basking in the warmth of the sun. She loved this place, this sanctuary of peace and magic. Yet as she continued her dance, she felt a subtle shift in the air.
Anwen stood on the edge of the forest, her gaze fixed on the horizon. As the Great Queen and a skilled ranger, she was the protector of Eldoria, ever vigilant against any threat. Her eyes, sharp and keen, scanned the landscape, searching for any sign of danger. She wore a cloak of woven leaves, her bow and quiver slung across her back. Her movements were silent and fluid, her presence blending seamlessly with the forest. She was a guardian of this sacred place, a sentinel watching over the peace of Eldoria. A sudden gust of wind whipped through the trees, carrying with it a faint, unfamiliar scent. The harmony she knew so well felt slightly off-key, a subtle discord that resonated deep within her bones.
The trees of Eldoria were more than just trees. They were ancient beings imbued with the magic of the forest. They were the keepers of its secrets, the guardians of its wisdom. Their roots reached deep into the earth, their branches stretched towards the heavens, connecting the world above with the world below. They communicated with each other through a network of interconnected roots, sharing their knowledge and experiences. But now their whispers held a note of unease. They sensed a change in the air, a shadow lurking at the edge of their perception. A palpable tension settled over Eldoria. The once vibrant forest seemed to hold its breath, the air thick with anticipation. The usual symphony of nature faltered, replaced by a hushed expectancy.
Arryn, disturbed by the unsettling quiet, descended from his treetop dwelling. He joined me in the clearing, my dance now stilled, my eyes mirroring his concern. Together we sought out Anwen, the Queen's keen senses already confirming our fears.
The forest whispers of a disturbance. A shadow falls upon Eldoria.
Their peaceful lives were about to be disrupted, and the fate of Eldoria hung in the balance. The news of the disturbance spread through Eldoria like wildfire. The normally tranquil forest buzzed with unusual activity. Elves emerged from their homes, their faces etched with concern. They gathered in the central clearing, their whispers blending with the rustling leaves. Arryn, Auriel, and Anwen stood at the center of the gathering, their expressions grim. The air crackled with unspoken tension, a sense of foreboding hanging heavy over the assembled elves. They knew that the peace they had cherished for so long was in jeopardy. They would not stand idly by while a shadow threatened their home. Erindor, the protector of the forest, stepped forward. His eyes, the color of moss and bark, held a deep wisdom reflecting his intimate connection with Eldoria. He was a powerful elf, his magic deeply rooted in the ancient trees and flowing streams. He closed his eyes, his face contorted in concentration.
A tremor ran through me, a wave of dark energy that washed over me like a chilling wind. I saw visions of twisted trees, poisoned streams, and a darkness that threatened to consume everything in its path. I saw a shadowy figure, its form shrouded in mist, its presence radiating malevolence.
His words sent a ripple of fear through the assembled elves. The Shadowfell, a name whispered in hushed tones, a place of darkness and despair that existed beyond the borders of Eldoria. It was a realm of twisted magic, where shadows danced and nightmares took form. The Shadowfell was home to creatures of darkness, beings of malevolent intent, who sought to corrupt and destroy all that was good and pure. They were the antithesis of the elves, their very existence a threat to the delicate balance of Eldoria. The creatures of darkness were real, and they were stirring. Their shadow was falling upon Eldoria, threatening to engulf their world in darkness. Whispers of fear rippled through the gathered elves.
We cannot afford to ignore this threat. The Shadowfell's presence endangers us all. We must act swiftly and decisively.
The Council of Elders, the wisest and most experienced of the elves, gathered to discuss their course of action. After much deliberation, a decision was reached. A quest would be undertaken, a journey into the heart of the encroaching darkness. Arryn, Auriel, and Anwen volunteered without hesitation.
Our path is uncertain. We must be vigilant, for the Shadowfell's influence corrupts even the familiar.
The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the forest floor as Arryn, Auriel, and Anwen prepared to depart. They stood at the edge of the clearing, their faces etched with determination.
We will face whatever challenges come our way. For the sake of Eldoria, we will not falter.
They turned and stepped into the shadows, leaving behind the safety of their home, their destinies intertwined with the fate of their beloved forest.
Shield your minds. These whispers are meant to break us.
The forest deepened around them, the trees growing taller and more gnarled. The air grew heavy with an unfamiliar scent, a blend of decay and something subtly sinister. The familiar sounds of the forest were replaced by an unsettling silence, broken only by the occasional rustle of unseen creatures. As they ventured further, the whispers began. They spoke of despair, of hopelessness, of the inevitable triumph of darkness. Arryn and Auriel closed their eyes, focusing their inner strength, building mental barriers against the encroaching darkness.
We cannot trust our senses. The Shadowfell twists even the familiar paths.
The forest grew denser, the path ahead obscured by thick undergrowth. The whispers intensified, their insidious voices echoing in the elves' minds. They seemed to be leading them astray, urging them towards the heart of the encroaching darkness. Anwin paused, her eyes scanning the surrounding trees.
We cannot trust our senses. The Shadowfell twists even the familiar paths.
She drew her sword, its blade gleaming faintly in the dim light. She noticed a series of markings carved into the bark of a nearby tree, symbols that seemed to shimmer with an inner light. She recognized them as ancient elven runes, hidden messages meant only for those who knew where to look. She traced the symbols with her fingertips, deciphering their meaning.
This is a hidden path, a path known only to the protectors of Eldoria.
She led the way, following the subtle markers, the runes guiding them through the treacherous terrain, away from the whispers and towards a glimmer of hope in the encroaching darkness. The hidden path, a testament to the foresight of their ancestors, offered a chance to circumvent the Shadowfell's influence. As they followed the hidden path, the whispers began to fade, replaced by the soft rustling of leaves and the gentle murmur of a nearby stream. The forest seemed to breathe a collective sigh of relief, its energy shifting, the oppressive darkness receding. Suddenly, two figures emerged from the shadows, their forms blending seamlessly with the trees. They were elves, their eyes sharp and alert, their movements fluid and silent. They were Kaelin and Thalion, renowned rangers and protectors of Eldoria.
We have been expecting you. The forest warned us of your coming.
He was a slender elf, his movements as graceful as a willow in the wind, his eyes the color of moss. Thalion, a sturdy elf with a steadfast gaze, nodded in agreement.
We know of the Shadowfell's encroachment. We are here to aid you in your quest.
Their presence brought a surge of hope to the weary travelers.
Kaelin and I led them to a hidden glade, a place of ancient power where the forest's magic converged. In the center of the glade stood a towering oak, its branches reaching towards the heavens, its roots delving deep into the earth. This is the Heartwood, Kaelin explained, his voice hushed with reverence. It is here that the prophecies of Eldoria are revealed. He gestured towards the ancient oak, its bark covered in intricate carvings. I stepped forward, my hand resting on the trunk of the ancient tree. I closed my eyes, my face contorted in concentration, attuning myself to the tree's ancient wisdom. I began to recite a prophecy, my voice echoing through the glade. When shadows fall upon Eldoria, I chanted, my voice resonating with the power of the ancient words, and darkness threatens to consume the light. 3 heroes shall rise to defend the forest's heart. Guided by the wisdom of the ancients, they shall seek the lost artifact, the key of Eldoria, and with its power, banish the shadows and restore balance to the land. The prophecy hung in the air, a beacon of hope in the encroaching darkness, a guide for the heroes on their perilous quest. The fate of Eldoria rested on their shoulders, their journey now imbued with the weight of destiny.
The prophecy echoed in our minds as we left the Heartwood, the weight of our responsibility settling upon our shoulders. We knew that our quest was far from over, the path ahead fraught with danger. We needed guidance, wisdom to help us decipher the cryptic words of the prophecy. We sought out Ulrich, the oldest and wisest of the elves, his name meaning power of the wolf. He lived in a secluded part of the forest, his dwelling nestled amongst the roots of an ancient willow, a place of quiet contemplation and deep connection with the forest spirit. Ulrich greeted us with a knowing smile, his eyes, the color of twilight, holding a deep understanding. The prophecy has been revealed, he stated, his voice calm and reassuring. The fate of Eldoria rests upon your shoulders. His words were not a burden, but an acknowledgement of our strength and courage. He listened intently as we recounted our journey, the challenges we had faced, the whispers of the Shadowfell that had sought to corrupt our minds. He nodded, his expression thoughtful, his wisdom gleaned from centuries of observing the ebb and flow of the forest's magic. He knew the path we must follow, the dangers we must face. He was ready to share his wisdom, to guide us on our perilous quest.
Ulrich led them to the ancient library, a hidden chamber deep within the roots of the heartwood. The air within was thick with the scent of old parchment and ancient magic. Shelves lined the walls, stacked high with scrolls and tomes, each one holding the accumulated knowledge of generations of elves. Here lies the wisdom of our ancestors, Ulrich explained, his voice echoing in the hushed chamber. Seek the answers you need within these ancient texts. He gestured towards the shelves, his eyes twinkling with an ancient knowledge. The elves began their search, their fingers tracing the spines of the ancient books, their eyes scanning the faded script. They sought information about the key of Eldoria, the lost artifact mentioned in the prophecy, the key to banishing the Shadowfell's influence. Hours passed as they delved into the ancient texts, the weight of their quest heavy upon them. They deciphered cryptic runes, translated forgotten languages, and pieced together fragments of ancient lore. The library, a repository of forgotten knowledge, held the secrets to their success, the answers they desperately sought.
Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, Auriel discovered a hidden compartment within one of the ancient tomes. Inside, nestled amongst faded silk, lay a small, intricately carved wooden box. She held her breath as she opened it, revealing a gleaming silver key, its handle shaped like a willow branch, its teeth etched with ancient runes.
"The key of Eldoria," she whispered, her voice filled with awe. The key pulsed with a faint ethereal light, a tangible representation of the forest's magic. It was the artifact they had been searching for, the key to restoring balance to their world.
Arryn and Anwen gathered around her, their eyes wide with wonder. They could feel the power emanating from the key, a surge of energy that resonated with their own connection to the forest. They knew that they held in their hands the destiny of Eldoria.
Ulrich stepped forward, his eyes filled with a mixture of hope and concern. "The key is but one piece of the puzzle," he warned, his voice grave. "The Shadowfell will not relinquish its hold on Eldoria without a fight. Be prepared for what lies ahead." His words were a stark reminder of the challenges that still awaited them.
As they emerged from the library, a chilling wind swept through the forest, carrying with it the stench of decay and the whispers of the Shadowfell. The trees seemed to shrink back, their leaves rustling with fear. A palpable darkness settled over Eldoria, a sense of impending doom.
Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows, its form wreathed in darkness, its eyes glowing with malevolent intent. It was a creature of the Shadowfell, a powerful warrior clad in black armor, its presence radiating an aura of menace.
"You seek to thwart the will of the Shadowfell?" The figure boomed, its voice echoing through the forest. "You dare to defy our master?" Its words dripped with contempt, its presence a tangible manifestation of the encroaching darkness.
"We are the protectors of Eldoria," Anwen declared, her voice ringing with defiance. "We will not allow the Shadowfell to corrupt our home." She drew her sword, its blade gleaming in the dim light, a beacon of hope against the encroaching darkness. The battle was about to begin.
The Shadowfell's champion lunged at them, its movements swift and deadly. Arryn, Auriel, Kaelin and Thalion joined Anwen, their weapons drawn, their faces grim. They formed a protective circle around Ulrich, shielding him from the ensuing battle.
The fight was fierce and unrelenting. The champion wielded dark magic, its attacks fueled by the Shadowfell's power. The elves fought bravely, their skills honed by years of training, their determination fueled by their love for Eldoria.
The forest itself seemed to tremble, the trees groaning under the strain of the battle. The air crackled with energy, the clash of light and darkness illuminating the night. The fate of Eldoria hung in the balance, the outcome of the battle uncertain.
As the fight raged on, a dark portal opened in the sky, swirling with shadows and malevolent energy. From within the portal, a figure emerged, its form shrouded in darkness, its presence radiating an immense power. It was the master of the Shadowfell, the source of the encroaching darkness, its arrival signaling a new and terrifying chapter in the elves' struggle.
The creatures of darkness pressed their attack, their numbers seemingly endless. They swarmed towards the Heartwood, their intent clear to corrupt the ancient tree and extinguish the very heart of Eldoria's magic. The elves knew that if the Heartwood fell, all would be lost.
They retreated towards the ancient oak, forming a defensive perimeter around its massive trunk. They fought back to back, their movements synchronized, their trust in each other absolute. They were a shield wall against the encroaching darkness, their courage a beacon of hope in the face of despair.
Aaron, his emerald eyes blazing with determination, notched arrow after arrow, his aim true and deadly. Auriel, her golden hair flowing around her like a banner of defiance, wielded her twin daggers with deadly grace, her movements a whirlwind of flashing steel.
Kaelin and I, our ranger skills honed by years of training, moved through the battle with fluid precision, our attacks swift and decisive. We were the shadows within the shadows, striking from unexpected angles, our presence a constant threat to the enemy. Every fallen creature of darkness was a testament to our unwavering resolve, our commitment to protecting Eldoria's heart.
The Shadowfell's master was a being of immense power, its presence radiating an aura of ancient malevolence. It raised its hand, and a bolt of dark energy struck Ulrich, sending him sprawling to the ground, the key of Eldoria flying from his grasp.
Aaron rushed to Ulrich's side, his heart pounding with fear. The old elf lay still, his eyes closed, his breathing shallow. The key of Eldoria lay just out of reach, its light dimming, its power fading.
The Shadowfell's master let out a triumphant laugh, its voice echoing through the forest. "The key is mine," it declared, its eyes gleaming with malice. It reached out to grasp the artifact, its fingers closing around its silver handle.
Just as it seemed all hope was lost, a figure leapt from the shadows, intercepting the master's grasp. It was Auriel, her golden hair a flash of light against the encroaching darkness. She snatched the key, her fingers closing tightly around its handle.
The Shadowfell's master roared in frustration, its eyes burning with rage. It turned its attention to Auriel, its power radiating outwards, threatening to consume her. The episode ends on this cliffhanger, Auriel holding the key, facing the Shadowfell's master, the fate of Eldoria hanging in the balance.